Well, welcome back to the channel, guys, and today we have a DashCam to unbox and install. Now, this is a Fit DashCam. It's from the company FitCam, who kindly sent us one to install, trial, and review. This model they've sent me is the F3. Now, I'm going to look on their website, and I believe they do quite a lot of integrated dash cams. And when I say integrated dash cams, I mean dash cams that fit within the mirror assembly. This one unfortunately doesn't. They do it for I'm looking Alfa Romeo, Audi, Bentley, Lamborghini, BMW, Chrysler, Citroen, Ford, GMC, Honda, Hyundai, Jeep. Loads and loads. There's pretty much a full range there. The only one they don't seem to do it for is ours, the VW EOS, which is a shame. However, we're going to continue and we're going to unbox this dash cam and tell you a little bit about it. We're Mark and V, and this is our adventures. Now, what I can tell you about this camera, before I even open it up, is, I'll just show you the box here. It is actually a 4K front-facing camera, a 1080p internal cabin camera, and you can also have an additional 1080p rear camera. There's a 1080p rear camera with the kit. Unfortunately, the VW EOS is a convertible, isn't it? And you might have seen it in one of our previous videos, which I'm going to show you now with the roof opening. There's no way of connecting that camera in on the rear windscreen and not interfering with the cables that work the roof. So I think if we're going to have a rear camera on the EOS, it's going to have to sit around the number plate area. Still, it doesn't stop me from showing you how it works, does it? Right, let's open up the box and we'll go and have a good look and see what they supply. Okay, it comes in a very nice sturdy box, so we'll open it up. A little truth, I have opened the box already. So it's well packaged. And the first thing we do is we get a little manual. And one thing I do like, which I haven't seen much recently, is you can actually read the manual. Sometimes you get these little tiny, and like, oh god, I can't read it, so you have to download it to look at it. You can actually read that manual, and instantly I can see there's a QR code to download the app. I'll just hold that up to the camera now, so if you want to download the app, there you are. You can screenshot that now and download the app. Yeah, there's a few colour pictures in there. So that looks pretty good. Let's carry on opening up, and hopefully you can see above me as well. So there is a camera, and it's a nice looking piece of kit, isn't it? If a little bulky. So I'm going to hold this up to the camera up above me now, so you can see you've got control buttons along the top. That's for selecting the menu. You've got an SD slot there. On the bottom, you have the USB connection, and you have the connection there for the rear camera. The internal cabin camera, you can see there on the side, and that can be moved. Although, depending on what you hope to get in the cabin, is going to depend on where you mount it. Now, I normally mount my dash cams to the right of the driver. In the UK, we drive on the right, and I normally have it over the far side, so it's out of the way. But if you want to get the cabin, you're really going to have it mounted in the middle underneath the mirror. And unfortunately, on a VW, there's a greyed out area. It's like pixelated area on the centre of the windscreen. I think that's for a sun visor type attempt. So we're not going to be able to fit it there. So we'll come back to that anyway. That's the basic camera. Put that one back in. And we have a box. Let's have a look inside the box and see what we got. So inside the box, we have a long cable to go to the rear of the car to connect the rear camera. And that is the rear camera. So I'm just going to hold that up for you there, so you can have a look at that. We'll have a look at it over here as well. And you can see that the camera can be turned. There's quite a lot of movement there. So don't matter how your rear windscreen is, that's going to move a lot. So that would tuck up quite nicely on a normal hatchback. Or it don't have to be a hatchback, a car with rear window that's not converted, but that would tuck up quite nicely. And obviously it just connects that extension cable with 4-pin connector. I think they call them an aviation connector. Now someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what they're called. So that just connects like that. Now one thing I will say, when you're doing things like this and you connect that, just put a little bit of tape around that, and that'll stop it coming out and being a pain at a later stage when you've fitted it, because they will come apart. And if they're going in, they will do. Lesson over. We have a trim tool. Now, these are invaluable. Don't throw them away when you finish, keep them, because you'll need it for another job. And what do we have here? We have the power supply. It appears they've supplied me with a accessory port charger rather than a hardwire fuse charger connection, which is not a problem. We'll show you how it connects, but personally I like to do a hardwire install, so it comes on with the ignition and leaves the accessory port free. Not only that, I believe from reading online that if you have it hardwired, you also have a parking feature that can become enabled on this dash cam, so we'll look into that as well. So there you are. That's pretty much the camera, contents, nothing else in there. Let's get down to the car and let's install it. No, hold on. Let's power it up on the desk and see what it's like. I'll be back. Okay, we got him on the bench and we're going to power him up. So I'm going to apply power. I say on the bench, on my desk. It's the same thing, innit? So we power him up. And then we can see we come up with the logo, and there he is, he's booted up. So we're going to avoid storage currently because we already have files on the memory card, but this is the location where we could go in and format, and I will show you that. Can I just go in there? Well, I can actually show you there. We have remaining 42 gig. There's 15.27 gig of footage on the card at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back because we don't want to lose that. So we come down through the menus now. So obviously there is a language. That's what we saw first of all. And we selected English. Then we come down to date and time. So go back into that one. Automatically update time by GPS. 24-hour clock. Well, I'm going to switch that one on. So we come down. GMT. And DST, so we'll have DST off because we want daylight saving. Do we want to, yeah, we'll have daylight saving on, I think, actually, so we're going to turn that on as well. So I'm happy with all that, so we're going to go back, then we come down. This is where we can connect the camera to the phone via an app. So if I was to go into the Wi-Fi and turn it on, and you can see that's the name of your camera, and that's the Wi-Fi password. Now the Wi-Fi password is very, very weak at the moment, is it? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Up to you to change that if you don't want anybody accessing and potentially deleting your files without you knowing. So that is that. We'll show you the app a little later. We'll come back to that. So you'll have to keep on watching the video if you want to see that. So we'll say OK to that one. I keep on wanting to be touchscreen. I really do. So the next one we come down to is resolution. Now, here's the thing. If we're just running the front camera and the internal camera, we can have the front camera at 4K. However, if you're running the front camera the cabin camera, which you don't have a choice on really, and the extra rear facing camera, then the front camera can only be run at 2K. So bear that in mind. So you can see here the resolution. So if I was to up the resolution, we know we haven't got the rear camera on it currently. Loop recording. So you can have, how long do you want your files to be? When you go to search through something. Now, if you go to search through hundreds and hundreds of files, it can be quite a painstaking task. I tend to do them for about 5 minutes normally on my dash cams. Entirely down to you. I find it's a bit easier to find footage I'm looking for. Because you go for a drive, say you've gone for like an hour drive, and you record it at 1 minute segments. It's an awful lot of footage to go through. Entirely down to you, but I am going to change it. Now, do you want recording the sound in the cabin? Entirely up to you. I don't think we need it. Come down, we have exposure. So we can change the exposure of the camera there. So if you think when you've installed the camera it's too bright or it's too dark, you can adjust the exposure to suit yourself. Now, if you don't understand what exposure is, I suggest you look up, do a little bit of research. But basically, you make the image darker or lighter. That's the very, very simplistic answer to that. So we come down. So we've only got the front camera connected, so that's the only one we can do. So you can see how I can move up and down through that. So we'll say OK, and we'll go back. So we're going to go down again. So now we got your frequency, which we talked about just now, 50 Hertz, and we're going to come down a little bit further to the G sensor. Now, I personally like a medium setting to see how it works, and then I go from there. Do I need it higher or do I need it lower? So we're going to leave it at medium at the moment. We'll come down to the next one, which is the display mode. Now, driving mode, what it does is it comes up with a little screen to show you what you're driving, and if we patiently wait, sometimes there you are, and that's your driving mode, and that's what you would see. It's got the time, the date, and you can see that it's the front facing camera that you got. I assume when we connect the rear facing, it'll show you that one as well. Anyway, so let's go back to the menu. So there's our display mode. The other options you have is always on, so you can see what's on there. We tried that and it's quite annoying really where it was. Or you can have it always off. I think driving mode is probably the best, so at least you know it's working. So we'll say OK. And we come down, we have volume. Now, loud, off, low, medium, high. Alright, so I'm going to put it on low. Come down to the next one. Speed units miles per hour, you've already seen that. Now, rear camera, I'm going to leave it on because we are going to connect it. Do we need to flip the rear camera? Depending how you mount the camera, depends on how you're going to show that one. We'll come down through. The next. So there we can reset the camera. And the very final one is the firmware version and the product model. And you know this is the F3. So that's pretty much everything. Now, why don't I bring my phone in? I've already downloaded the app. So let's bring my phone in. And you can see I have already connected. But something to be aware of, the Wi-Fi doesn't appear to stay on. So if we go back up to Wi-Fi, it's still touching the screen, isn't it? So I'm going to show you now. If I look for the Wi-Fi, you can see there is no Wi-Fi available at the current moment, and that is because the Wi-Fi automatically switches off again. So it's only on when you're got it switched on, which is it's a little niggle when you really want to get something quickly. So you've got to go into the menu and switch it on. So we're going to switch it on. Got to stop touching that screen mark. So there it is, switched on, and there we are, we've connected. Now I can prove this is connected. So what I can do is I can show you the screen, so you know that's working. And you can see I've already done the install. Look, I'm actually working on the video. So we're connected. Now once we're connected, I'm gonna bring the phone up a little bit so you can see that. We have access to the camera files. I was just talking to so you can see all the camera files. So if I was to come down and that's the cab footage, and there's the front footage, and it's obviously had the sound on when we're doing that. And on the right side menu you have the settings. So go into the settings, and pretty much everything we were looking at is available, that we were looking at on the camera is available here. So it just in some ways makes it just a little bit easier to access everything. In driving collision, the G-shock, language, your Wi-Fi name, and that's where you change your Wi-Fi password if you want to do that. Factory reset, format your memory card. It must be about on the actual app itself, where you can look to see if there's an updated firmware version. Still, switch between cameras. Change the way you're looking at your screen, and just flip it. So that's the app. Then in the more, I think this is where we is it customer service? There we are. Version upgrade, and it tells you the current version. It is the latest version. So I think the next thing to do is get down into the car and show you an install and show you what it's like working actually in the car. Okay, so here we are, we're in the car, and mounting your dash cam, you really need to think about it, because once you've stuck it in position, it really is final. Now we also have the additional thought to go with, because when we're in the car, sometimes I'm filming, I do mount cameras in the screen as well, but that's going to be a secondary thought. So let's get the camera and think about where we're going to mount it. So it's quite a lump, isn't it? In a sense that, you know, wherever we put it, we've got to really think about it. So we need to see how far this will turn, and then the SD card comes out of that side, so we can't. Oh, we can remove the camera, can't we? So let's make sure the camera comes backwards. Yes, the camera comes backwards. So because the camera mounts backwards, we can have it as tight as we want over there. Or do we want to put it more up here? So I'm just going to play around with a few ideas a moment and see where I think it's going to be best suited. Now, I don't know what you think, but that certainly looks very blue. So that could be a bit of an issue. I don't know, we'll wait and see. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go and have a look in the background, see if I can change the blue hue on it, and then we'll come back. Okay, what I want to do is I want to show you something now, because it's me being a bit of a fool here now. You can see the difference in colour, and I'll show you that. The screen protector was on, or the lens protector was on, wasn't it? So that's why we had a blue hue, and that's why we got blue hue on the back as well. So I'm just going to peel that one off. So mark, sort yourself out in future. So we'll take that off. And it's interesting that comes up. I don't know if that's because we're in driving mode and it just like takes it away. But you can see there now that if we go back, you can see the camera recording, and the colour is far better. Something else I just want to show you here. This is I've gone into the GPS in the menu, and currently it's not seeing any satellites. So I'm just going to play around with it, see if there's something I'm going to do. So you can see there GPS information, so I'll say OK. And literally there is nothing there. So bear with me, and I'll come back once we know how to sort that out. Now I wanted to test this GPS again. So what I've done is, as you can see, I'm out in the open air now. I've got the camera connected up to a battery just to power it up. So trying to be able to see the screen in the sunlight, but you can see there's still no GPS connected. However, I've got to say that when we were out in the car, and you see the footage, you're going to see the footage in a minute, there certainly was information. There's speed and positioning on the imagery, so I'm not quite sure why it's not showing on the camera in the GPS position in there, but it does work. The software version is V 1.0.19.202.1030. Right, so I've actually decided where I'm going to mount the camera. It is a little tiny bit on the bulky side, and I was thinking about having it up above the mirror, but unfortunately I'll just take the camera around. On the VW, it has this mesh up above there. Now, they do a camera that mounts around the rear view mirror, which I think would have been perfect. But as you can see, I'm just going to show you. That's where I've mounted it. And it is a little bulky. I don't know what you guys think. So if I put you in the driving position, that is what we got up there. Now, it's not bad, but it's big enough to be noticeable. I'm not sure if we'll keep it there, but we'll see for the time being. Now I'm only going to temporarily wire it in now until I've actually put it into the fuse box, which I may do tomorrow, but I want to take this out and test it today. So we'll use what it's wired in to the accessory point, or as people used to call them, the cigarette lighters. I don't think they call them that anymore, do they? Can't be a vape lighter, can it? Anyway, so that's where it's going to go. Let's show you what it looks like from outside. So you can see it. Well, can you see it? It's just there. So it's not huge on the outside. But we'll see how it goes. So I'm just going to tidy up all the wiring now, and then we'll take it out for a test and get some footage and see what the footage is like. Now, one thing I've already noticed, if we just push it in, mounting it where it is, this other camera can only get the driver. What a shame that doesn't move sideways as well, because if I move the main camera sideways, I'm losing some of the vision. I don't even know if you can see that really. I'm looking at the camera now. I think you can just about see that, can't you? So yeah, I think that one there is maybe okay, but it doesn't work where it is really. I think it needs to be, maybe it needs to be hung underneath, but then it's going to take up too much room in it. Don't know. Let's see how we get on with it anyway. Now I just want to show you how I'm going to route the wiring. Now it's going to come over here. We've got a seam here that we need to take this piece out to get it in behind, but we will do that after we do it in a hard install. But it's going to come down here and then it goes up. There's a little channel that runs all the way down to there, and then we've come in behind this piece of plastic, and then we're coming down. Now that is the fuse box where I'll be taking my feed from when we go do the hard install, so that will be easy. For the time being, however, we've got to go over to the other side of the driver, so I'm just gonna temporarily fix that across, but that is where we'll be finishing off our hard install. So that's pretty much it until we take the car out for a test drive now. So that will be the next thing. Luckily, that accessory port only goes live when I turn the ignition on. So if I turn the ignition on and I come back up here, you should see, there you are, you can see the camera boot up. So and it always boots up in looking back, so we'll have him on that. I'm hoping that it's taking, I'm looking at the front of the car and I think it's still going to go over that way a bit. Oh, didn't want to do that, so we go back. So we're just going to work out. Now, if you look at where the sea goes, you wouldn't believe we live nowhere near the sea. So you can see roughly where the front of the bonnet is. So you can see the end of the fence. So hopefully that's just got it about in. And you can obviously see that that camera, like I said earlier, only gets the driver, which is a shame, because you might want the passenger as well. I don't know. But we'll go with that for the minute, and we'll take it out for a test drive next. So there you are, you can see us now. We're now driving. We're going to take the car for a drive into Plymouth. That way we'll get a bit of footage on the camera as well. So you can see quite clearly where the camera's mounted. Now the little rear facing camera is not going to be picking me up. That's quite blatantly obvious. I think, if I'm really honest, the camera would be better suited around the rear view mirror. Now I know that FitX do cameras like that, however they were unable to supply us with one, but I think I would prefer to see what that was like. Problem is, if we put that camera in the middle, is we're going to have a lot of cables running down to it here and no way of like really tidying it up. So that's the biggest problem with that. Now we're going to have what we'll do is we'll go for this drive now. We'll get some proper footage, and then you'll be able to have a look at it, so at least be able to see the two different cameras, see what they look like. And I'm going to just film a little bit forward facing now, so you can compare it. There, hopefully that was enough to have a side-by-side view of two different images, and you can make your mind up and decide how good that is. And when I'm editing, I'll also comment and tell you what I think about it as well. Well, I think you have to agree with me, that's a very good image. I think positioning might need to be a little bit better, but apart from that, it's absolutely fantastic. No complaints there. Well, here we are a couple of days later, and we've had a chance to install it. We've taken it out for a test drive. We've edited most of the video now, and I've sort of stopped editing the video and come back to sort of give you my final thoughts. And I thought, you know, I can't really film that part of the video until I've had enough time to really think about it. And what are my thoughts? Well, I like the quality. I think it's a very well built piece of kit. I think the imagery is really good. You've seen the imagery yourself now, and I think the imagery is very good as well. The unit size is my concern. I think it's bulky. If it was underneath the rear view mirror, I think it would be fine. But it won't go underneath the rear view mirror without having cables hanging down, as I said in the video. So that is an issue. It won't go above in the EOS because of the actual like pixelation on the glass to stop the sun coming through. So it can't go there. So it has to go to the left or the right of the mirror. And I think going to the far right of the screen is probably the best place for it. If you're going to buy one, I would go for one of their integrated ones. I think they look much nicer, and I really wish I'd had the opportunity to try one, because I think long term I would have been far happier. Because once it's there, you would ignore it, just forget about it. Whereas this, it's always going to be in your field of view. So for that, that's the only downside I've got of it. You can't position it properly. Maybe on a car with a bigger windscreen, not a convertible, it would make a huge difference. I'm not saying don't buy it. I think it, the quality is really, really good. Of all the dash cams I've used of recent times, this is possibly the best imagery. So it's definitely got that going for it. I would say FitX, send me one of your integrated cams. We'll make it fit. Get the one that's closest. We'll make it fit. Let me do a comparison on that, because I think I'm going to love that. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, guys. And if you want to buy one of these, there's going to be a link down below, and there will be a discount code as well. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.